Go ahead. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. How you doing tonight? We have something very special for you today. With all the events that are unfolding this week, that we are finding coming through Yellow Vest TV, it is amazing. And tonight we happen to have Joseph Gregory Hallet. Now, Mr. Hallet happened to be researching his bloodline for a very long time. And there is a king, and he believes that maybe he is it. Tonight, we'd like Mr. Hallet to bring through our Yellow Vest TV, for the people, by the people, from our heart for humanity, his story on how we can get the new king to step up and make his way through our yellow brick road. How you doing there, Greg?
Good, thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Can you explain to us what exactly everything that you've been putting together, and how long this took you, and everything that you discovered along the way?
The events, I really started to cognize the events when I was about 18. It really took off when I was invited to be the royal biographer for what appeared to be the true royal family of Britain, and it does. However, what's happened is that the predictions have come to the fore, and those predictions are happening during the tribulations, which is around about 2010 to 2020, for predictably a 7-year period. And during that time, there's supposed to be a lot of marks and signs. And those marks and signs happened to me, and then I was given, during that process, I was given some of the most important royal marks, and they were given to me 3 times without explanation as to who I was. So I've had to discover who I was, who I am, and who I'm supposed to be, and that seems to be consistent with what's happened right through my life, including King George VI and Queen Elizabeth II Sergeant Surgeon Lord Arthur Espy Porritt introducing me to King George VI's natural biological son in 1967, and changing the currency of New Zealand at exactly the same time on the same day. So these are significant events which are signs, and I have a lot of these signs. And the whole world's run on predictions. Those predictions are stored in the Book of Predictions in the Bible, which is actually a series of predictions hidden inside a religion, or packed round with a religion, and in the tradition received. And as far as I can see, I've been predicted in all of these venues, and including in movies, and including in the weather. And I have a letter from Queen Victoria saying, "Assemble him, claimant," and that letter was given to me 3 times.
So can we go back a little bit? I know you did the history on transition of your bloodline in this family. Could you explain that?
Yeah, well, I wrote a series of 5 volumes. This is one of the covers here, and this S shape we used is actually the signet ring of King George V of Hanover, who was blind Prince George of Cumberland, who was actually married to Queen Victoria and was the only legitimate marriage. That was from 1834. Then they had a child together in 1834, and that was Prince Marquis Manuel. And he was actually made King John II of the United Kingdom on the 6th of October 1869, and Queen Victoria actually got a statue from the Easter Islands and transported it to London. She sent out the voyage in 1868, and the large Moai Easter Island statue came to England and to London in 1869 to mark the kingship of her son, her only legitimate son, Prince Marquis Manuel, and he was then King John II of the United Kingdom. And I'm suggesting from all the predictions that I've been marked as King John III of the United Kingdom. And when the story of Prince Marquis Manuel and King John of the United Kingdom was come out, there were other predictions associated with it. I'm getting a lot of room static there. Yeah. How you doing? Can you hear me?
It's okay.
Yeah? Just getting a lot of
We,
audio static. Okay, so one of the things that was predicted when the story came out, and it came out in 2014, around the 16th of August 2014, which was actually also the changeover from the end times to the new age. And myself and my co-author were chosen to represent the end times, and then I ended up representing the new age as well. And one of the things that was predicted to be associated with it was that the Knights of Malta would be kicked out of the Catholic Church. So I'm still getting all that air static. Yeah. So what happened with that is that the Pope kicked the Knights of Malta out of the Catholic Church in Christmas 2016, January 2017, which was the same time as Donald Trump was made president, right? November 2016 to January 2017. And that was a sign that Queen Elizabeth II no longer had control over who was the US president. Prior to that, the English monarch, or the person who became the president of the United States of America, was always the closest relative to Queen Elizabeth II. And Hillary Clinton was claiming that. But because the story of Prince Marcos Manuel and King John II had come out, that didn't happen. And the Electoral College was allowed to vote in Donald Trump. And Donald Trump actually won the popular vote as well. But Hillary Clinton defrauded that, but still lost the election. So what we've got now is a clean slate, and we've actually got a patriot who is the President of the United States for the first time in decades. Getting a lot of static, a lot of static coming through there. So, whoa.
it sounds okay here. I don't know what's you're okay.
I'm getting someone's rubbing a cleaning scrubbing brush against a microphone.
Adam?
It's not there. Yeah, so I've got lots of stories like this that show the fulfillment of predictions. And when I've put it up on my websites have been closed down, then I've had to do it again and again and again. So I've had at least 50, maybe even 70 videos taken down in successive times. So they're really trying to suppress the story, and the story is the fulfillment of predictions for kingship. Now, Queen Elizabeth II absolutely knows about me, so she was required to give me the crown of the United Kingdom, which she's done repeatedly since 1968. You're there. I'm sort of getting a bit. All right.
Yeah, it's coming through okay.
It's coming. The sound's coming through. Sound's coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've actually got another story which is very involved. It takes about an hour or so to tell of other things on putting Trump on the throne of America, and there's a third story as well, and that is that Sir Walter Raleigh got the book of predictions from Faro in Portugal and went straight to the location that was marked, which was about 30 miles west, and it was a cave. And then he went into the cave and he spent about 14 hours in that cave, and a Portuguese woman came and brought him a cup of tea, which was a new thing, and then he sketched the cave and he put that in the Rosicrucian cosmography, and that actually formed the religion of America, right? So America was actually founded as a Rosicrucian society before it was a Christian society, pretty much at the same time. But the first temple in America was actually a Rosicrucian temple. So America is actually operating from a Rosicrucian point of view, which is kind of halfway between Christian and Egyptian, right? So Sir Walter Raleigh was also given the Prince Regent to governor status of North America in March 1585, which meant that he was the king to be. So he held the kingship mark. Whoa! I'm getting a lot of static. So maybe it's just on my end.
Yeah, we have it coming through clear.
Okay, oh, that's good. I'm just getting all sorts of like that. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, and not much else. So, and I'm talking to a blank screen, so it's a little bit strange. So the kingship of North America was kind of passed to me because on the Rosicrucian Cosmography, which is a summary of all the predictions that Sir Walter Raleigh made, and it was published in 1618, 2 weeks before he apparently died, it actually named me on the Rosicrucian Cosmography, and he actually drew my cave in the cosmography, and which was his cave then, and he wrote my name on the cosmography and the exact time of the changeover from the end times to the new age that I represented. And then he faked his death. His execution by beheading was absolutely faked, and no one ever had the head of Sir Walter Raleigh. And he carried on to breed posthumously into my family and into my surname. So, you know, he was the modern day founder of Rosicrucianism, which was the religion of America, and he had the kingship marks to North America, which was then effectively passed down to me as soon as I discovered it, and then I was able to influence through the books I'd written, fulfill the predictions, influence the election in North America and put Trump on. And we've actually got a long history, although we've never met.
So at this point, with everything that you've discovered and the research that you have done, there is a possibility that there is issues with the royals, and there has been issues. Is this what you're trying to bring out?
As well, and some of the things that I discovered when I wrote the 5-volume set on the British royal family, the true royal family, is I'd already written and then was able to further clarify through inside knowledge that the current British royal family is flatline royal. They're absolutely fake, and they're actually half Rothschilds, and then 3/4 Rothschilds, and 3/8 Rothschild, and then 3/16 Rothschilds. And I believe that Queen Elizabeth II, who's not a queen, is 3/16 Rothschild, and she is not. Elizabeth is not the daughter of King George VI. And during her coronation, or straight after her coronation, the London Gazette fraudulently labelled her as the Crown Queen, and she was not. She was not the Crown Queen, and she was operating under a false name. So they purposely made a fraudulent entry into the London Gazette, Elizabeth being Queen.
Now, do you think that's what's having an impact today with the corruption and everything that's happening? We have a rumor that there's a Queen Gate going on, that's going around, and that we may have a global reset of our federal banks, and that this may be something that's going on. Do you see that where you're at?
Oh yeah, I've been working on this for since 2014, when I represented the End Times New Age changeover, and also represented the Times of the End in 2017. And both of these events were things beyond my control, but they happened in my favor, with me absolutely being named and indicated. And the 2017 Times of the End actually included the manifestation, the physical manifestation of the apocalypse, which is the revelation. And the 4 horses of the apocalypse, you've got white, pale, red, and black, and combined that makes the color of wood. And what happened was a tropical storm came from Mexico, which reads as me. X marks the true King of England, so it reads me, true King of England, I, C-O-M-E, I come, me, true King of England, I come. And that was actually from Tropical Storm Greg, which is my name. and then that came over here to England, and without any lightning, it split my profile oak tree that I was photographed under for my promos, and revealed the four horses of the apocalypse. And when that was cut off, I actually was given the piece of wood, which is actually sitting here, there. See that?
You have to move it a little bit more. We really can.
Okay,
Go over
well,
a little bit.
I'll
Yeah.
try and grab it. I'll try and grab it. So if you can see it, then that's good. If you can't, you can't. Because all the predictions are specific, right? So I don't know if you can see a horse there.
Wow. Right, right.
Yeah? I don't know where
Yeah.
you can see it. There's two or three horses, one, two or three horses in there. But that's the color of white, pale, red, and black. So that's the four horses of the apocalypse. And that came in, it was very red when I got it, right? And the sound, oh, put it back here. The sound of the oak tree splitting under thunder, there was no lightning, it was just Zeus's thunder. It was just Zeus's thunder that split the oak tree, which is amazing. And so there's no lightning marks on the oak tree. And the sound of the oak tree splitting is apocalypse. Apocalypse. Yeah? And so it's just another fulfillment, and that's exactly 777 meters from where I sit now and where I was sitting in the same place then. And 777 means the Shin, which is the Forbidden Secret. And I've been running the Forbidden Secret since at least 2010.
So since 2014, what exactly at this point you're saying everything has been falling in line, but you've also been helping out with some other things as you're seeing the changes. We are seeing the changes also as we're seeing the change in the guard with the New World Order, and that some things were stopped that through the Agenda 21 that were supposed to happen, and they're supposed to be stopped now. Some things are supposed to so that we don't have the issues that were supposed to happen with Agenda 21. But everything that's happening right now is people don't realize in the United States it's stemming off of the UK and the EU, and we're watching it all here, but it's not on mainstream. So truthfully, everything that we are bringing through with the Yellow Vest movement and the way that the Parliament is breaking up, and the way that all the signs are with certain things that are happening, and all the fraud that is being thrown around everywhere now out of everyone's mouth. If you go out in Yellow Vest and listen to them, every Yellow Vest group you go into, everything that comes out of their mouth is that there's a fraud in the royal family. And now to come to find out, we had found Greg, and he's bringing some things to light for us, and we're hoping that Greg can bring more things to light and make his way through here with his claims. You've already been recognized though, Greg, right? And in certain ways?
Yeah, I've got quarter of a page of titles, including Lord Chancellor of the Kingdom of England and Lord Arch-Treasurer, Guardian of the Royal Secret, Lord Chancellor of the Kingdom of Scotland, Lord Chancellor of the Kingdom of Northern Ireland, Lord Chancellor of the Duchy of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, and Lord Chancellor of the Principality of Hanover.
So at this point, that puts you actually in a set-up position at this point, that if something does happen that may happen, we're not sure how this is going to happen, that you could be in line to make your way through. And how would they know? Like, how would they test it to know this is you? What would be the ultimate test they could do?
Well, Queen Victoria was actually very psychic, and she was a Sora, so she was actually a high initiate of the various occult societies. And she started up the British Psychic Society and the British Ghost Club Society. She was very much involved in the prediction of the future. And she wrote a letter saying, "Assemble him claimant," and put her blood thumbprint on it. She wrote it in familiar French. And that letter was given to me on the 5th of March 2012. and then in May 2013, and then again in April 2014. I had it for that whole period, but I returned it in May 2013. It was inspected, and they said, look, there's a little bit of the envelope off there. We're not too happy about that. And then it was given back to me, and then April 2014, I returned it again, when it had already been translated as saying assemble and claim it, and was thus acknowledged as the highest royal mark in the United Kingdom.
So now the royal...
It was given to me again. It was given to me again, and it was given to me because of I was fulfilling the predictions, and I had been recognized from 2010 as the highest initiate of the Egyptian mysteries.
Now, what was given to you at the age of 13 by the Queen? You had mentioned something...
The royal styles and titles of New Zealand, Australia, and Papua New Guinea and Grenada were given to me in an easily decipherable code, 1973, 1974, 1975, and then also in 1975 in the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail, it was my name written on the wall. It said Gregory Hallet, Holy Grail. And then in the Monty Python movie The Life of Brian, 1975, Brian isn't named Brian. Brian isn't named Jesus. The Jesus-type figure played as Brian is named Greg. Son of Man, Greg. Right? And both these movies, or one or both of these movies, was funded by George Harrison of the Beatles, and the Beatles were highly influenced by Tavistock. So Tavistock was actually influencing the Monty Python movies and getting the Christ figure named as Greg. Now, Christ is actually a title, and it means High Priest of all good things, as well as a few other titles. And once you've represented the end times and represented the new age, you automatically have the title Christ above everyone else, right? So the predictions that were happening in 1975 and 1979 actually came true in 2014.
Wow.
Right?
This is awesome.
So what we're going to look at is religion, whole lot of dogma, just dogma everywhere, just popping out of the woodwork at you all the time, and cognitive dissonance all the time, right? But what the Bible's actually telling you is this is a book of predictions hidden inside of a religion, and the predictions are specific, right? So you can't interpret it like the Christians interpret the Bible, and they almost always get it wrong. And who would have ever thought that the apocalypse was actually an oak tree splitting, and that it was an onomatopoeia, that it sounds like an oak tree splitting, and the white, pale, red, and black horse was actually the color of wood, and it was one horse. You know,
point though,
fantastic.
It would be a bloodline, a true bloodline. Could you tell us? I also know that in your findings about the toys, you were speaking about the toys going to Persia.
One of the things that Jesus put in the Bible in his predictions, and his predictions were absolutely fantastically accurate. I have to say they are, you know, if he was looking inside my body outwards and he was making his predictions, it's just flooded in, and I've recorded it all and videoed it all, and I haven't showed them all. And he even describes as though he's looking down at my feet, and he describes the color of my feet, and he describes my legs, you know, what they look like, etc. Pillars of fire, because my calf muscles sort of, you know, do that movie thing like an athlete, just my calf muscles. So his predictions are fantastic, and one of his predictions was he would have a very long history, which indicates that he had a longer history than Jesus, you know, so before 0 AD, before 7 BC, right? So India invaded Persia in 250 BC, and the Persians went to New Zealand and set up a civilization there, and what remains of it is about 400 miles of canals, man-made canals, hand-dug canals, and also some straight stone walls with straight stone blocks that are about this big, right? So quite heavy. And the Maoris never built like that. So what happened was the Catholic Church got the mercenary and the dregs of the Pacific to go down to New Zealand and kill the toy, because the toy was the true princely line, and the Catholic Church found it a whole lot easier to control illegitimate royal families, right? So the Catholic Church has always been putting in on the throne the illegitimate and weaker sides of the royal families so that they can control them.
Right.
So the Maori, who now claim to be Moai or Muri, was sent down to New Zealand in 1725, and they killed over 1 million toi, which were 6 to 8 foot, fair-haired, red-haired, blue-eyed, green-eyed, very tall people. And they just left their skeletons all over New Zealand on the surface. And then in 1920, all the skeletons were picked up, not all of them, but a lot of them were picked up and ground up and then spread around the land as fertilizer. So grindy bones, you know, giant grindy bones.
I have to bring this to light for you, because we have here in Philadelphia, it's called a Mutters Museum. And in this Mutters Museum Mutters Museum is a medical museum of the that's going all the way back in a very long time. There is this very huge skeleton, and people didn't think it was real. They were like, that's impossible. It's got like a bird cage chest, and you can look it up online through the Mutters Museum. The tall man, I think he's under, he possibly is 7-8 feet tall, but they called him just a fluke. But going with, you know, how far back they possibly could, I guess, with the skeleton, he's intact, and he is in the Mutters Museum in Philadelphia, which you may want to check that out, Greg, online. You can go to the Mutters Museum, Mutters, in Philadelphia, and it's online, and there is a skeleton there, and it's huge. And it's amazing. I personally saw it. So, I mean, for these kind of stories to come out, and people will think, oh, you know, that's not really real. If, like you're saying, if you do the research and you really go back to where it's at, and then if you really have real people who are out there that do actually experience or see these kinds of things and bring it to the light on connection of where they're at throughout the world, it does help. Right now, we're connecting throughout the world through Yellow Vest, and we're finding out stuff that we never thought was happening, and that's amazing. You know, we have a yellow brick road, is what I call it, and we're making it. We're the king. We're hoping anyway that we're bringing the king through this yellow brick road. Basically.
The yellow brick.
We duplicated that they can't even find half of us, that we're out there so much right now. And we have an umbrella. Our Yellow Vest umbrella is over everyone now, so that we have no problems with the yellow block coming through. The EU is definitely breaking up. The UK, it's amazing watching this in history, but we're watching it by bringing it through. It's not on the media, it's not on mainstream, it's regular people doing this, and it is the connections of humans on humanity and heart, and not for money. It's just that we want to make sure that we all step up and do our little part to help the next one along, and that's anything that anyone can do. And now it has taken off, and it is amazing. We brought the umbrella out yesterday.
Great work, great work. Hey, do you notice that the yellow brick road leads to Australasia?
Wow. See? Right. Well, yeah. Right now, the yellow brick road that we are making, and we brought something else out that was pretty amazing. The map of where all the Yellow Vests are, we have people that put it together for us as it was growing. We have it as it was growing. They're numbered different, they're organized different, we are different numbers for different parts, and it looks like a star now. It is a star, the map that we have right now, and someone brought that to my attention the other day. I'm like, yes, it is. It really is. It's filled in, and it does look like a star. So at this point, Yellow Vest has really, and it's the people, and we have to give it to them, and they did it themselves, you know.
They did.
Great.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
the French did an absolutely fantastic job, and they were from the middle of France and the poorest areas of France, and Macron was trying to put up the petrol prices so they couldn't even earn a livelihood. So they weren't given any other opportunity other than to protest, and then Macron's infiltration and treatment of the yellow vest protesters has been horrendous.
Absolutely.
Just horrendous. And it looks like Macron got his homosexual lover, Barack Obama, to light the fires in Notre Dame while Barack Obama's transvestite wife was watching on the launch.
At this point, when we have some groups that are out that are very creative. We have the Bear group that went after Bear. That they're amazing in Dublin. We brought them through, and they also gave a funeral to the bank. They literally walked the casket down the street with funeral flowers and everything to the bank. I mean, the train stopping. They've done that. They've what's called a snail walk to shut down the cars to cause a traffic jam. They've shut down toll booths to stop the trucks from going through. They let the cars through. They didn't let the trucks through. They jammed them all up. We have a lot of things that we are seeing that were very creative in how they're maneuvering, and they were very peaceful. I'm going to tell you that. They were very peaceful until we were watching the officers get nasty, not the people. Once the officers got nasty, then the people watched it, themselves watching it afterwards. That's when it started getting nasty. And it wasn't the people. It was actually the officers trying to stop them. And it's a shame. It really is, that you can't walk down the street without being blocked. And that made it escalate. It's ridiculous. And they put their own people in to start this stuff that people didn't realize. Wasn't Yellow Vest that did a lot of this destruction? It was actually people that were set up to do this. The Black Vest people, we call them, because the Yellow Vest that aren't claiming it. They're like, that's not us,
Yeah,
I
can see that. It's the Black Vest people that are turning over cars, setting them on fire, and smashing shop windows.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Black Vest run into the side streets, and then the police come out of the side streets so that the Yellow Vest people can't follow the Black Vests. The Black Vests are then hiding behind the police, and the police walk the Yellow Vests up to the main square, block the streets off, and then throw rubber hand grenades and tear gas in amongst the peaceful Yellow Vests.
Yes, that's absolutely correct, and that's what we were talking about. That's sad. That's the sadness, and they've been targeting. We watched how they were targeting the main people. Now I know that there is a lot of places that they do have the face recognition, and it's all over. And it's funny when you go back and watch the videos. There's so many videos out now that they can't stop us, and they bring it all through. Just normal people. And so that way they can't say, that didn't happen when they already had it recorded and it did happen. In the beginning, there was no media. We were the media. Nobody was bringing it through.
Yeah.
RT roughly has it. Now a couple more picked it up. But it's mainly what we're using and bringing through are real people. And standing right next to this and watching this with these people, it hurts. It hurts you to see how they're being targeted along the way. A lot of us had, even though we're in the U.S., we have bonds with some of these people that are out there with these phones. And we're actually with them, and they know it, and to see bad things happen, this is devastating to us also. This shouldn't be happening, So hopefully now we're getting a grip on this, and the Yellow is not backing down. Now, if you listen to the media all over, and the mainstream media, the BBC, they're saying, there was like maybe 800 out throughout. There was only 800 protesters. It's slowing down, this and that. Oh, no, it's not. 800 on one block.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's going strong, and the yellow is, they are not backing down. And as we have in this week, the Brexit party went in as a yellow party into Parliament and took over the black bloc. So yellow took over the black bloc. Our yellow vests are now going to be on the vote. I think it's May 9th, and it's looking like a sure win. That's what everybody's saying. So bye
Fantastic,
bye.
fantastic, fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful, really. So we need some area of mass following, and it looks like the yellow vests have emerged to be it.
Oh yes, yes. This is amazing to see how it has grown in the last 8 months. I'm going to tell you, we jumped in on this in November of last year. They really started up in December. Really started kicking it off. U.S. kicked in a little bit in January, and then we have small groups that are out, but the U.S. Does things in a different way. We go in and file with the courts, or we try and file throughout our states and try and get somebody to listen to us. It's starting to work now a little bit. It's starting to break up a little bit. And there was something else that we talked about, and that was language, the syntax of language of the court. Could you explain that a little bit?
Uh, well, I could, but it actually seems to be evolving. And actually written a book on the courts. It's called My Father, the Family Court and Other Experiments. And I was in court for a total of 18 years, but after about 6 years, I actually was a father that won custody, which is incredibly rare because only one court in each city gives custody to a father each year. So, and I was up against a lawyer for the child who was covering up for another lawyer's incestuous pedophilia. So, I had a double hard case. But I managed to do that. And then what the courts did, once I published my book, is that they changed the names of the various laws so that the book was no longer valid, or
Wow.
as valid, right? So each time you have a win, they just alter the laws, the words of the law, and the process, and what they acknowledge and don't acknowledge. And it's not a law; it's just a mafia operation that is supporting a pedophile unit run by Elizabeth II, and especially Prince Philip, who's known as the Black Prince and is a very, very profligate pedophile.
And that's something that's been being investigated here. Um, it's been coming out finally, and they're really cracking down on it. And we're hoping, as we were bringing the stats out for the missing children all over the world. We also have real people that we bring through that are out there with a megaphone, and one of them is Misty Barnes. That's the name on the page. Jack goes out and starts challenging what is going on to bring the awareness in the UK for us, and he's awesome. He doesn't give up either. And we have a lot of people that are out there bringing the awareness for the children, and that's where it all leads to. Now, if you watch how the Vatican had went down on the way that they had swooped in on them, and they also have the Nuns Too movement now. That's kicking in. Hashtag Nuns Too. They also brought out the nuns are speaking up that they were kept as slaves, sex slaves. So not only the children, and that's throughout the whole world through the churches, and how they're all have lawsuits now here where lawyers are set up waiting for people to step up, where funds are already set up, and you go in and you have to prove it, of course. But I know in our area, we have at least 10 Catholic churches in the last 20 years that just disappeared. It's very rare to even find one, and
Mm.
that's the truth.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, this has
yeah.
been going on for a very long time, and we all know that. And for the Vatican to finally recognize it, the Pope actually wrote now I guess a kind of a peace agreement, which he's never done before, that they will protect the children. That was written.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that in
Yeah.
actuality.
Yeah. Look that
What
up.
what they
It's out
did,
on, yeah, yeah. They've
none.
never had that. That they have to protect the children now, and I'd like to see the original document if anybody can get it. But yes, they did. They brought it out. That's what they did. I guess it was like a force that they had to do because there were so many that stepped up here, and now there's so many lawsuits that it basically they forced them. But now it's going to go bigger, they're saying, on everything that they found out through the children. And this is what this was all about, and I don't think people understand that. This whole thing had started over the children and Save the Children. And everybody's covering up, not only for what they've done in frauds of banks and money and gold and land and humanity and human rights throughout the world. Also, it's to hide this huge pedophile ring that's been going on forever. And now all of a sudden, it's breaking up, and that has always been my target, to save the kids. And where's the children at? Where are they? Our own CPS system here has trafficking. We have 800,000 children missing a year. How does that happen? Where are they? 800,000 kids gone, you can't find. Well, then when you go and look at how it's all intertwined on who has control over it, which you go to the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation, the people that they put in line, that's all the way connected on missing children, hotlines, throughout the whole system. They're all connected now. They've all been in court for child pedophilia. So hello, what's going on now? How far does it go? How deep is it? And they're all trying to hide that also. But Greg, at this point, is there anything else that you need to get out? Because we're going to bring you through again on a different platform. As things are unfolding, I want to get you with the 1922 committee. I want you to present what you have to them, and hopefully we can get with them and break you through on some of the information that you have, and maybe help out and get you where.
Yeah, I could probably say a few words on that now. There were two Belfour Agreements. One was 1917, and the other one was November 1926. The first Belfour Agreement was to give the Ashkenazi Jews Palestine. And the Ashkenazi Jews were only registered as Jews in 1573 in the Catholic Church. Prior to that, the Jews were some other group. So in 1926, the second Belfour Agreement was that if people lost faith in their governments, then the Chief Justice automatically had the powers of the monarch.
Wow. So now, at this point, what would be your next step? What is your next step?
Well, so in order to avoid the second Belfour Agreement coming in, and virtually all of the Chief Justices, or a lot of the Chief Justices around the world, are Ashkenazi Jews, right? And so they may be engineering the entire lack of faith in your government so that all of their Chief Justices become the monarch. Right? So the way to avoid that is to acknowledge that the world's actually run on predictions, and that if you are fulfilling a prediction, that takes precedence over everything else. And I fulfill at least 6 predictions, at least, and some of the most major predictions. And I've got physical evidence for all of the predictions that I've already illustrated that I have fulfilled. And the world is following in those predictions as though there were people high up who acknowledged that the prediction had been fulfilled and were altering the course of world history accordingly, and empowering people and disempowering people according to those predictions being fulfilled. For instance, when I was given the sword of the Duke of Saxon, Coburg and Gotha, and videoing myself playing around with it, I was given it on Leap Day 2012, and then the next day I slept with it that night and then held it up to Moorish Castle, which fulfilled myself as first in the House of David by secondary means. When I was knighted with it, and that was all filmed, and then I put that film up online, but I wasn't too rushed about it, you know. It just, at the time, it just seemed completely ordinary, absolutely completely ordinary. So I ended up putting the video up. It went up on the 17th of April 2012, and the powers that be had 7 years to respond. So 7 years minus 2 days later, they burned down Notre Dame.
Wow.
Right, and in the floor at the bottom of Notre Dame, you got a cross, and then on the floor at the bottom was a crown-shaped object. So at this cross, the crown emerges out of the fire like a phoenix, yeah, and then the falcon called the Merlin, exactly 24 hours after the fire started, a Merlin, they usually fly in a straight line about 60 miles an hour, and you never see them in nature because they're flying so fast, and they hang out in forests and around wet areas. You very rarely see them, and a Merlin bird flew into my house, and I was here from at least 5:20 to 5:30 the following day, the 16th of April. And Merlin is the king's magician, so it's kind of saying from nature, king's magic is happening and manifesting.
So at this point, with the bloodline, where do you fit in? You're saying
the bloodline's interesting because the person who's first in the House of David by secondary means, which means things like initiation, is the true king, and the person who holds the title Christ which is the high priest of all good things, and it's shown in various ways, and I fulfill it in more than 3 ways. That person is automatically the King of England, right? So we're looking at Elizabeth bowing out to me, so it was all in prediction, so she put my name on the coins. There's over 56 billion coins in the UK that read Elizabeth to Greg, and Elizabeth has the letters H-A-L-E-T in it, which is Hallet, and the letters left over is I-B-E-Z, and the E, 3 strikes and you're out, the E becomes an I, and the S is a Z in your mirror, so that's IBIZ, I-B-I-Z, IBIS, which, and the tradition received is the king is delivered by the ibis. So what I'm saying is that 56 billion times the agent of change is in your pockets, and the coins read Elizabeth to Greg Hallet ibis, and that's purposely done. And the first Elizabeth to Greg coin came out on the 23rd of April 1968, when I was about 6.5, and the second the last coin it was on was a £2 coin, and that was on the 15th of June 1998, and that is 11,011 days apart, and 11 means the letter M, so it reads M0M, so it reads mum. Right? So Elizabeth was codifying me that in terms of the way the occult and secrets operate, she was identifying herself as mum, and therefore myself as a royal. And then, because of the high, I'm getting a lot of static again, so I'll just talk over it. And because I was the highest officiate of the Egyptian mysteries, Queen Elizabeth II had to marry me, right? So on the 9th of March 2017, she got someone who was born around Coronation Day, which is 2nd of June 1953, to go into the National Gallery in the centre of London, which overlooks Charing Cross where the King's announced, and to take a drill bit in and to go up to the painting, the Gainsborough painting, Elizabeth Marries Hallet, which is about 3 metres by 5 metres, and to scratch the painting with a drill bit, right? And drill is DR for doctor, and then ILL, bit, Dr. Elizabeth. Doctored by Elizabeth, yeah? And the painting was called Elizabeth Marries Hallet, and it was also shown in the James Bond movie Skyfall. about 7 times. It was actually shown 7 times in that movie, Skyfall, you know, the sky's falling in. Yep.
Yeah, I know you've been doing work with Andy and I think it was John. Andy, John.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I had a Skype call. I just turned it off.
You have been doing work with Andy and John out there on also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. John Manoa was, you know, he'd been doing a lot of research and he's trying to find out who was the true king of New Zealand, and I just didn't want him to get it wrong. So I just piped in for an hour and spoke to Andy, and then for an hour and spoke to John Manoa, because, you know, I just didn't want them to get it wrong, really. Yeah.
And they seem to be mapping everything out also. They're putting all the pieces together, and you've just happened to like just come in, and all of a sudden the whole thing just opened up. I watched it the other night. Like, it was like a validation of all three of yous on everything you've been saying, and then all of a sudden it all came together the same, and it was amazing to see that. That was enlightening for me to see, and that's what intrigued me on, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know, we're missing this on this side in the USA. We don't have this. You all are there and you're in it. We're not. We don't really understand everything that yous are saying until yous all put it together the other night, all three of yous, and it was amazing. It really was. I had gotten it out. I think now it has like 9,000 views on one of the places that we had put it in. And if people really want to take the time to watch that, see, we're having an issue now is people's attention span is very short, and we're finding that to where when there is something though that is very important, or they should see or learn, because we are in the USA, we are not we're different in culture, we're different in the way things are, and the way that you have put that all together was actually pretty good, you know, on what you said, what Andy and John had said. It makes sense if everybody listens to it. It really does.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was absolutely spontaneous. What was good for me is when I was talking about Prince Marcos Manuel being made King John II of the United Kingdom in 1869, then John Manoa was saying, well, in 1868, Queen Victoria had an Easter Island statue brought from Easter Island to London, and it arrived in 1869. And what I'm saying, I'm not sure if I voiced it there, but giants have a part to play in kingship, and those statues are statues of giants, right? But also my ancestor, I think it was my great-great-grandfather's brother, he actually died on Easter Island, but the easternmost island in New Zealand, he used to sail people up and down the whole east coast of the North Island, and he was shipwrecked on that East Island, which is the first island in the world to get the sunlight. It's where the day breaks, so it's like symbolic of the sacrifice for the New Age. And then I end up representing the end times and the New Age, which are both 40-day periods. And then I just happened to be in Zeus's cave, Jesus' cave, Sir Walter Raleigh's cave when that happened. And then 3 days after I move into the cave, because it's part of predictions, the King of Spain abdicates. And I'd predicted that the King of Spain, King Juan Carlos of Spain, would abdicate 6 weeks prior. And then there was someone who's married into the Duke of Saxe and Coburg and Gotha family. He stood to attention in front of me that day, and he says, "Congratulations, absolutely what you said 6 weeks ago has happened." And I didn't believe it because I hadn't seen the news. That night it was on the news, and you know, it was validated because I had exposed that King Juan Carlos of Spain was the biological father of Prince William of the UK.
Wow.
And that's why King Juan Carlos of Spain, because I'd exposed that about 9 months prior, that's why King Juan Carlos of Spain was taken to Africa where his leg was broken. And the leg represents kingship. And then his daughter was charged with embezzlement and put under threat of going to prison. and then her husband, so King Juan Carlos of Spain's son-in-law, actually did go to prison, and then they separated, as far as I know, divorced, and she lost one of her titles, but kept the rest, so it didn't make any difference. But it was a mark, it was a mark that King Juan Carlos of Spain, who was the honorary president of the Royal Almanac de Gotha, which records all the bloodline of the royalty, he had an affair, he'd had 4 affairs with Princess Diana, sired Prince William, and failed to record that he was Prince William's natural father. That's why his leg was broken, because I was coming in to show who was the true royal family, who was the true blood lineage, and that had to be acknowledged, and it was all part of a dream in 1773 by Mayor Amschel Rothschild, who's the founder of the Rothschilds, and it's recorded in the Rothschild Archive Trust in London, which is called RAT, Rothschild Archive Trust. And in the dream, he says that the Rothschilds will take over the British royal family, breed with them, and then they'll hand the family back after 200 years to the true royal family. Now, the first one was Queen Victoria. She was born in 1819, plus 200 years, 2019. There's another version of the prediction that they would hand the British royal family back to the true royal family 200 years after Mayor Amschel Rothschild died, which was 19th September 2012. So we're looking between September 2012 and April 2019. And that's when most of this stuff happened, and that's pretty much the period of the tribulations, 2012 to 2019.
And that's what we were hearing. There's a contract that ran out. That's what we're hearing. The
contract ran out, and Christ, the person who holds the title Christ, is the King of England automatically, and the person who's above all the other claimants to the title Christ is the person who represents the end times New Age, and myself and my co-author were chosen by the highest level of the occult, which is the Prior to Sion, to represent the end times and New Age, and we questioned them about it, or Francisco did, and they said there's no one else on the horizon. There's no one even close. So we both represented the 40 days of the end times, which was 7 July 2014, which is 777, which is the number of the Shin of Forbidden Secret, and that went to the 16th of August 2014, which is 787, and that the changeover was I thought the changeover was at 2:43 p.m. But on Walter Raleigh's Rosicrucian cosmography and on his portrait, it says 2:44 p.m. is the first minute of the New Age, and then that goes through to the 25th of September, so 2 40-day periods, which is 797. So it's very rare that you get the 777, 787, 797 with 40 days between. So I represented the second New Age period, and then I was sitting in the cave, and it's the same cave that Walter Raleigh had drawn, and the rock looking out of my cave with a ship on it, a replica of Walter Raleigh's ship actually sailed past above that rock, and I photographed it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, wow, you can't make this stuff up. And, you can actually make a very good movie on it and actually show exactly how it happened. And, that's exactly what happened. And it's drawn in the Rosicrucian cosmography, which is the first religion of America for the, immigrants, the white immigrants, not the Native Americans. But what I'm saying is that all these codes are actually in North America, and they're in your first temple, which was built in about 1680, the first Rosicrucian temple, around Philadelphia. Yeah. So it ties in everywhere. It absolutely ties in everywhere. And I could talk. Oh, and the other thing is that at the bottom left of the image has got me and a cross between myself and my great times 13 grandfather, Sir Walter Raleigh, standing on the well, pulling the levers inside the castle. And down the bottom of the well is a word and the word is a mixture between Putin and POTUS.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's saying that Putin and POTUS, Trump, drink from the same well as me, meaning that they're patriots. And we've got to think about it that Putin's a patriot for Russia, and for the world. He's kind of sensible, you know, he's practical. And Trump is the first patriot president the U.S. has had since what, Reagan?
I'm guessing. I'm guessing you're correct on that. But let me ask you this. Now, the way that everything is turning, and you see how everything is going right now, on the series of events in the last couple of years, and the way that they're saying that Jazara is going, and we've seen that also. And it's supposed to be a global reset, that people can research their bloodline back to where their country is, and all this kind of stuff is supposed to be going on. But then somebody said there was Nizara, and that didn't happen. Well, Nizara, I think, actually got blocked because of the Russian collusion. That got thrown in the way of Nizara. There's Nizara and then Jazara going on now, if I'm correct. Now, we also have Julian Assange. Now, Assange dropped all of the WikiLeaks files a few years back. That's everything that came out and brought everything to light for us, which I'm sure caused all of these investigations that are going on, with a lot of other people behind it, that we're all aware of, and on different issues of some big things that were happening. And if it weren't for them exposing it, the American people wouldn't have been aware of what was going on and how deep it is, and how much we are really being in fraud. We are in fraud. And we're also questioning our Constitution now. If the Queen, let's just throw this out there as a hypothetical now, if the Queen is not the Queen, then what happens to our Constitution? Is it void? Would it be a breach of contract? That's something that's bothered me.
You know, you got to wonder that with the so-called British Constitution, where is it written? It's like an implicit constitution, and they use it against you, not for you.
And
So
it's backwards. It's backwards too. Oh, they flipped it so bad. It's terrible. It's supposed to be for the people, and it's not. They used it. It's totally flipped. And what happened was everybody's been so asleep that nobody did anything about it. They just let it go, let it go, let it go. And it grew. This monster grew so big now, it's not being let go anymore, not here. It's finally being attacked, and we're all, even the people are trying to turn it around the best they can. Then we see the yellow vests. They're on the uprising of awakening, of wake up, people, because this is not the way it's supposed to be. And that's where we're all standing right now, people with people, no matter what, humanity over money. We were just talking about this, like things, like a gold bar is a thing. A gold bar can't move itself. A gold bar can't make itself into a ring. You need the mind of the human being intelligence and the craft and the idea in order for that gold to even be anything. If not, it just sits there for you to look at it. Mind over matter kind of thing. Now we have things, and this is something that we've been trying to bring out to people, to bring them out of their funk a little bit and bring light, that your mind is so powerful, that's to conquer things. Okay, now all of us humans now, why are we at war over a thing, over a gold bar? Why can't we trade rocks or trade sand? What's the difference, right?
And we did.
What's the difference?
We used to trade shells. The American Indians used to trade shells. They used to fight over shells.
For it. I'll go to the beach. Why not? I'm just saying, as a matter of fact, that they've made that so important, and that it really, it's nothing without the human. What are you going to do with it? What can you can't even move it without human hands to move it. Or not, even if you have a robot, then the human had to make the robot to move it. No matter what, we're all going back to humanity and humans. And we all have to start treating each other right with kindness and respect. And lift each other up along the way right now, the way that things are going. We are in such a dark place, and there's so many people that still are, that don't even believe this is happening and this is breaking, or the yellow vests are out there, how many yellow vests are out there, how this system is changing, that they really think when you speak to them, that they look at you like you have two heads. They're like, when did that happen? Oh, it wasn't on your regular TV to tell you, huh? That's where the media is coming in. The media is not feeding it to anyone for anyone to really know what's going to be. We're hoping the 3% now is what's kicking in. But you can stand in a room with 12 people and only 2 people understand what you're saying. And that's what we're running into. We're out here trying. We're trying.
Yeah, we've got to change that, because a lot of people just say things so that they'll be accepted. So we've got to get over that sort of I'm thinking, therefore I'm alone, and just express it, and then people come back and they go, yeah, I absolutely agree with you, but it might be 2 weeks or 3 months or 6 months later. Now, I've been experiencing that a lot. So you just get used to it. It's isolation and then inclusion with suspicion.
It's the truth. That is the absolute truth. And we're finding that with everyone that we're speaking to, that really had jumped in this and really speaking with people all over the world. That are the speakers and stepping up for the awareness, and to wake people up, like knock knock, listen to us, like wake up in there. And we're trying all different ways, creative ways, linking in with different things. Even their protests, they're trying to be unique to try and grab attention for people to pay attention on what's really going on. And even when, we're having a really hard time. Now, all of a sudden, it seems this week, things are really going to wake up a little bit more. And we're hoping it is. And we're hoping to bring out more people and more things that are happening through Yellow Vest and through all of our hubs that'll show a little bit more. We're trying to show it, okay? And we're trying to bring it to people that they really know what's that they're not taking. We're having I think now. I think the Facebook is going to take us out on time. I'm not sure, but at this point, Greg, I appreciate everything that you brought to us. We're going to get this out through Yellow Vest. Make a way for you, and we know we're going to see you again. We have another streamer that would like to bring you through his program, which is the Matrix, and that was Matthew Turner. He couldn't make it with us tonight. We were going to try and do this all at once, and hopefully we'll have some more answers in the next couple of days to connect some more dots and to get more people connected in different ways and different levels in the right way. And like we said, we're making the yellow brick road path here, and we see it happening. There's no stopping it at this point. We're hoping it's you, Greg.
well, Diana was born, Princess Diana was born 77 days before me, and 77 is code for the father is fulfilled by the son. That's the code for it. Now, she knew about me. She knew I was fulfilling things like the Holy Grail, which is actually an anagram of my name, and then I was named in the Monty Python and the Holy Grail and in the Life of Brian. So she knew it was me. So she made sure that she conceived Prince William on my 20th birthday and gave birth to Prince Harry on my 23rd birthday. And then Harry named his 2 dogs Guy and Oz. as in the guy from Oz, which is Australasia, which means Australia and New Zealand. And now we're looking at the yellow brick road leading to Australasia.
Right.
So the yellow brick road's going to New Zealand, and Prince Harry's dogs are going to New Zealand, and Diana was going to New Zealand, right? And that all seems to be hooked up to myself. It's codified to myself in many ways, and I've shown it in quite a few videos, but I can go into these occult connections they've made to me.
I'm going to tell you, hold that stuff for the Matrix. That'll freak people out. We would love that. Put your stuff together for the Matrix line. This would be great there. Let me tell you, that's taking it on a realm of the Matrix realm, and that stuff will be where that belongs with Matt. Matt is really into all that stuff. He can really like bring that through for you, and his, and explaining it. That's his thing. He really likes that. Yeah. So that would be a whole other, get that together. I'm telling you that there is going to top everything off. And with Andy and John is really back out there in the last couple of days. He's been out like 5 times, I think, in the last. He's really pushing this issue on the land and how it was stolen, and the churches and all kinds of things. Now you'll have to go see what he's doing. He's putting things together. That man is amazing. What we're finding is through all of your archives everywhere, and the people that have the real pieces to this puzzle are all coming together, which is really great. On going through this, together. And we're hoping that through the Yellow Vest that this really does go through, because this is people helping people. This wasn't, anything planned or anything. It just happened,
It's organic. It's organic. And but isn't it great that they've given us the internet, which is kind of like the manifestation of the biblical Holy Spirit? It's everywhere. Everywhere.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring you this. My last name is Angelostro, and that is the highest of the angels. So,
nice.
And it's real. I was told I was supposed to go to Venetia to look for my gold. That's where I'm at.
Well, it's kind of interesting because, a lot of us have had money stolen off us. Like, my great-grandfather was the world's foremost authority on the combustion engine in the 1930s, and the Nazis stole him to back-engineer the Freiburg UFO that had crashed in 1936. So they killed him off, kidnapped him, killed him off on the 2nd of December 1936, stole all his money, stole all the shares, stole all of his patents, and even stole his mansion in New Zealand.
Well, that's what they're saying. And listen, I am like...
200 million. It's actually 300 million US in today's money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we were looking at the numbers. I brought it out. I think it's like $950 trillion that the EU has to distribute at this point, and they won't. That's the holdup. I think it's $950 trillion to be dispersed.
Yeah.
And I don't think they want to do it.
Well, they'll try and plug that and try and broker a deal where the EU collapses, but they get to keep the money.
Wow, this is amazing.
That sort of thing's been happening a lot. But yeah. Well, so that's another connection I've got to America, is that my great-grandfather, Ernest Robert Godwin, he was employing as his vice president Samuel Clemens, or Mark Twain. He actually rescued him off the street because Mark Twain had spent all his money on land in the Everglades and was bankrupt and homeless. And Ernest Robert Godwin picked him up off the street and made him vice president and gave him a life again.
And that's how it should be now, for real. And we were just, I think Andy brought that through earlier. what they should do is the ones that were hurt the worst should be put somewhere in making decisions because they know it. Okay, that's common sense. So common sense, if you've been wronged, okay, and you know the insides and out of your wrong, because if your mind went in the right way and you're still fighting and putting in your paperwork, which I think that's what they're doing now through Ed, I think it is. Ed is helping the people. It's people helping people, and Ed said he's going to do it for free. He doesn't even want to charge the people because they said it should be free anyway. There should be no bar. It should be considered a gift to help people, and especially if you're going to go back. They're saying we're supposed to go back to common law. The fringe is supposed to be off of our flag soon, and we're supposed to go back to common law, and our lawyers are going to be away from the bar, and they're going to have to be retrained. That's what we're hearing. So
yeah, no, I like that. I like what you're saying there. I've done a little bit of study in it, and there are 4 authorized copies of the Magna Carta, but no original of the Magna Carta. So the Magna Carta is actually a fraud, and King John saw the Archbishop of Canterbury altering the document when it was signed on one side of the lake at the bottom of Windsor Castle, and when he was sailing and rowing across to the other side of the lake to get it signed by King John, he saw Simon Langton, Archbishop of Canterbury, altering the document.
well, when we go to bed, people won't understand what Magna Carta is. Now we have Magna Carta, and there's also Magna Charter. Okay.
Same thing.
Okay.
The Magna Carta is referred to in the U.S. Constitution, right? But
Right.
the powers that be and myself know that the Magna Carta is in itself a fraud, and then there's all of these documents that are setting up common law and constitutions based on the Magna Carta. But if the Magna Carta is a fraud, then those documents are also a fraud. So that needs to be clarified, and the person.
And that's what I was asking you earlier. Correct. Remember, I said that we are getting word around here. I was trying to be discreet about it. That things could be fraud. And how do you fix that when you've been here your whole life and now all of a sudden everything's a lie? I mean, let's go all the way back now. That's what they're telling us. Now, we're getting this just from normal, regular people, and they're saying, no, exactly what you just said. And then when you go and research it yourself, because we tell people, go research, go see what you can find yourself, go speak to real people, okay? Because now these documents and things, there are researchers that actually research this stuff. They researched to the extremes, let's put it that way too, to where they actually will go and get those documents and have them in their hand kind of thing, research, they are out there. But now that's what we were told, that so if that happened, everything's void. We're void.
Yeah. But see, the person who didn't sign the Magna Carta because it had been altered was King John I of the United Kingdom. And Queen Victoria's son, when the Moai statue came in, was King John II of the United Kingdom. And I'm going for the position and claiming the position of King John III of the United Kingdom, and I'm exposing that the Magna Carta was a fraud, and that Prince Marcos Manuel wasn't publicly acknowledged enough as the King of the United Kingdom, and that his 7-year younger half brother, who was illegitimate, became King Edward VII. Now, King Edward VII murdered his older brother, King John II, and then he himself was killed 5 weeks later for committing regicide. And that was 1st of April 1910 and May 1910.
So how would we fix that? Now we're all into solutions. What would it be then? Like it's like it didn't exist now. So how do you bring it back? There would have to be, our Constitution would have to be rewritten would be under King's law then.
Well, the first religion of North America is Rosicrucian, I'm named on the Rosicrucian Cosmography, which is the whole book of predictions put on one page. And I'm the person named Joseph Gregory Hallet on that Rosicrucian Cosmography, and as representing the end times and new age, with a drawing of my cave on it and Noah's Ark on top of the rock that's in my cave. And there's a whole lot of other things which actually name me. So I've actually got claim to North America, plus my great times 13 grandfather, Walter Raleigh, because when he died posthumously, he lost the title Sir, so posthumously he's just Walter Raleigh. So he's my great times 13 grandfather. He drew he got the book of predictions, and he also drew the Rosicrucian Cosmography and named me, therefore, and he was given the kingship of North America from Elizabeth I. So that makes me the kind of the royal and religious top person in North America. So I can change those things. And I physically had the documents here from Queen Victoria, and I was given the sword, the second highest sword on the planet, which I made the highest sword on the planet. So I've actually got the rights to change the laws and the king or president of the United States of America. So I can, I'm kind of looking at my work that I've done so far as influencing the Electoral College to put Donald Trump on the throne. On the throne of North America, which is essentially what it is.
Wow.
So okay. If we want to go back and scrub what's irrelevant and put in the true history and make it more beneficial, then I'm your man.
Well, we're hoping to bring you through, Greg, and we hope you are. We're going to make sure. No, we're going to bring it through for you. At this point, though, before we do, I don't know how long we've been on now. We're going to end this here, and we're going to hope that you can bring us. We're going to bring it through a different program. Platform. We want to see what's going to happen if what they were saying that Trump is going to meet with the Queen tomorrow. We're hearing that he is there. I'm not sure about that. We're hearing it from there, and the Tudors. Video. Okay, here we go. On the Tuesday that Theresa May, they're supposed to be giving her some orders to go. So hopefully we can have you go on oops. There we go. We can have you go on with Matt, and we'll bring more stuff out and have you set up with your stuff that you have.
Yeah, I'll just add to that point.
Sure.
The purpose of Brexit was to show the people of the United Kingdom that Queen Elizabeth II is flat-lie royal, that she's not a sovereign, because during the entire Brexit procedure, she could not claim the United Kingdom back out of the European Union because she's not sovereign. So the entire Brexit procedure is an acknowledgement that someone else is the sovereign, and I'm saying from all marks and all the events and all the history that I've written, including in these 5 volumes, that I've been marked as the King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and all Ireland, and I have to brief the IRA.
So now at this point, which we've seen that, and we've had people say that along the line, because this is 2.5 years, and they're not leaving. Why isn't the Queen just stepping in? Why isn't the Queen stepping in? And that's from here. And why is she letting these people get beat up? Like, this makes no sense to us. If the people said get out, then get out. It's what the people voted for. And then we're watching, as we're watching them all, and these groups are all forming, and they're all talking to us, they're saying, the Queen can't sign because she's not legit. And we're like, what? Like we all heard stories. We just thought, it was stories, or bad media, fake media for real. And then as you're watching it, more and more people are seeing it. And then we're like, wow, it must be true. And then we're getting more and more people speaking out about it, which they've never done before either. Let's come out physically and speak about it. We're like, wow, this is really real now. It's getting real. And we're hoping, everything that's going down, the best for everyone. The people that have been hurt and killed, even a few we're with their families, and we pray for their families. And this is Yellow Vest. Is not terrorist group. Yellow Vest is the people standing up for themselves, for their rights, and these people know their rights. And you have the USA going, oh, look at them, they're for a gas tax. It may have started out with that, but it went much further than that. Once they started digging in on everything and finding out the truth, then all of a sudden we ended up with 67 countries that were out protesting.
Yeah.
We have over 270 Yellow Vest groups, and I couldn't even tell you how many more there are now, because what we said was we would rather duplicate. We wanted everybody to duplicate all, just to spread out and be with where they felt comfortable, how they could, organize and things like that. If you put everybody in one group, it's too easy to shut them down. Everybody made that yellow brick road. They're spread out so much you wouldn't even know where they're at. And we love that. We have certain ones that we speak to in different groups, and we're all connected with a lot of groups through the U.S. Right now, the Yellow Brick Road is out there, and we're hoping that Yellow Vest TV we have yellowvesttv.com that's being built right now, that we are a hub to also bring the light afterwards of the solutions for everyone, and the right people can come through to guide people in the right way on what they're supposed to do. How people are going to be confused. They're going to be so confused. There's got to be ways that people link up, and there's got to be a place where they can go to and know, here's your information, here's what happened, here's what you do. We're having a hard time with that right now. You have people that don't even know what a yellow vest is. They think they're construction workers. They are, but they're also out there protesting. At least we have people that, that are in wheelchairs, and they're beating them up. Are you serious? Like, come on now. If you don't see that and you don't wake up after seeing that, we really have a problem then. We really do. That means humans are nothing. We are disposable, and that's disgusting. It really is. We need to make it where we do matter.
They have reduced the quality of care. The cremation of care was an occult ceremony to cremate care. That was actually what it was about. So the quality or value of life amongst white people in the West is vastly reduced over the last 3 or so years.
I've seen that also in nursing homes.
It's chronic in nursing homes. Chronic, has been for 20 years, chronic in nursing homes. They bring in immigrants, especially brown immigrants from poor places like the Pacific Islands, to take care of rich white women who are in their last 5 or 10 years in homes, and they're sticking pillowcases over them, suffocating them, and they're punching them, and they're stealing their jewelry and all sorts of stuff.
You're absolutely correct. Yes. And the thing is, this even in the nursing home, like you said, in the nursing homes, what we have here is a hospice, and they try and trick you, just so people know. They'll tell you, oh, your loved one has dementia so bad, why don't you consider, hospice to come in? We need the extra help with them, kind of thing. And once that starts, that means it's a setup. They're setting you up, and that means they're actually trying to put the person down, is what's happening.
Yeah, it's called the Liverpool pathway.
No, stop punching me.
Right.
But at this point, Greg, we're gonna wrap this up, get this out. And hopefully the next one that we do will be with Matt, and we'll get you through the Phoenix and get everything going correctly with what you're going to set up on the computer and get that through.
Okay, great. Cheers. See you then. Thanks for listening.
Oh,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.